right, and then we are going to go live and broadcast. Good afternoon, everyone. We will start our webinar in just a few minutes. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, The Making of Inspirata Pointe. My name is Chuck Tholen, and I'm the webinar host for this series. This is a three-part series, and we're actually doing part 2 today, Meet the Architect. We have two very special guests with us today. From the international architectural firm of PERKINS EASTMAN, we have Jim McDermott, and we have Joe Hassel. Jen is an interior designer. She's an associate principal with PERKINS EASTMAN. She has over 20 years of senior living, hospitality, residential, and healthcare experience. Jen will actually be on the program for part 3, Meet the Interior Designer, which is coming up this Friday, but she wanted to join in on this call as well. And then our presenter is Joe Hassel. Joe has more than 25 years experience in planning, architectural, and interior design, almost exclusively dedicated to improving the lives of seniors. As an industry expert, he's a leader with Eastman Perkins and has been a speaker and educator on senior living design at a variety of national forums, including Leading Age. He's an author of several published articles, a contributing author of the Wiley textbook, Building Type Basics for Senior Living. He's co-taught senior living related design classes at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, Harrington College of Design, and Drexel University. He is a professional member of the International Interior Design and Association, IIDA. He's a past advisory board member of the University of North Texas Coalition for Leadership in Aging Services. And for those of you who don't know, that is the Mean Green in Denton, Texas, because I'm a Dallas boy. Joe's design work has been honored with awards from the senior living industry's most respected programs, including AIA Design for Aging Review, Environments for Aging, and National Association of Home Builders. He has a master's degree in architectural from University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee School of Architecture and Urban Planning with a focus on gerontological studies. And yes, I did have to look up how to properly pronounce gerontological. So I hope I got that right, Joe.
You did.
Go ahead and let Joe take it away, and he is going to tell you all about Inspirata Pointe and the concepts behind it.
All right, thank you. Let me just switch screens here real quick, everybody. Okay, can everyone see the current screen? Is it sharing properly?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, great. Well, thank you, everybody, and welcome. I'm excited to be here today. I wish I was there in person with all of the 10 people that are in the Marketing and Sales Center and those online, but hopefully in the very near future, we'll be together soon. The creation of Inspirata Pointe, as we define it, desert living, redefined actually, really came about in a variety of different ways. We were fortunate to win the project back about 2.5 years ago now through an interview process, and assembled a team, which we'll go over shortly, to lead the effort in creating this project. When we talk about the project and the process that went into place, it was very interactive. We had team members from the leadership team at Royal Oaks. We had all our consultants present and even some residents to help create the vision and project goals moving forward through a variety of different exercises, visioning of what this project will be when it does open, moving forward. We also then did a lot of research in terms of, we've practiced in Arizona on a variety of different projects. I personally worked on almost every senior living nonprofit community in the Valley, but did some additional research trying to understand not only the beginnings of Sun City, but how it's evolved over the course of time, looking at the master plan and what that meant in terms of density and layouts and things of that nature, and also looked at a variety of the competitors in the area to understand what's happening from a senior living standpoint regionally, and look at how we can create something that's unique and different moving forward. One of the things we really focused on is the power of convergence. And what I mean by that is not only does our team internally within Perkins Eastman have practice areas in all these areas, but we also researched in the Valley senior living communities, hospitality environments, residential mixed use, and 55+ communities. And why that's important is that senior living today is moving into understanding the trends that impact all of these categories that I mentioned here, with the resulting factors indicating or reinterpreting what is expected, embracing specific lifestyles and the flexibility of the lifestyles of the consumer, and making a lasting impression and creating experiences that are unique within senior living environments. We studied a variety of hospitality environments, and why we did that is because they really base their design on experiences, and experiences are really important in daily life. So the idea of exploration, discovery, embracing lifestyle, and how they address pedestrian scale becomes really important. And one of the ones we studied is Royal Palms, and there's some very strong similarities that we borrowed off of the inspiration of Royal Palms in terms of the variety of shapes of outdoor spaces that are created, different scaled courtyards, passageways, the scale of the building, breaking down the masses. Those were all really important in developing what will be the branded experience for Inspirata Pointe moving forward. The other important feature that we researched quite a bit and have incorporated in a lot of our projects over the last 5 years is the idea of biophilia. Edward Wilson, a professor and researcher at Harvard, really brought this to light maybe about 12 years ago. And it's talking about how we as humans inherently connect with nature. And with our connection to nature, we become healthier and stronger as individuals. We look at sensory connections in terms of the senses, spontaneous interactions with nature, meaning that, there's just not all focused views. They happen throughout the course of the exploration of spaces, natural ventilation, access to moving water, dynamic natural light, mystery and discovery, prospect and refuge. How do we create spaces that we feel comfortable in? Even in large spaces, how do we create areas that are comfortable? Complexity and order in the materials and textures and patterns, local sourcing, and then fundamental natural forms of scale and massing. Those all go into play to really start to look at the benefits of biophilia. And Frank Lloyd Wright was pretty much a founder of this years ago, but never called it biophilia in terms of the spaces that he created, because the results that are tested and researched are proven. And if we follow these 10 principles, you create environments that promote physical well-being, both from a physical fitness standpoint as well as a psychological standpoint. It inspires creativity for the individual. It promotes positive interactions between people, reduces stress and fatigue, and helps heal in environments and make people feel healthy. So we weave that into the process of design, both architecture, interiors, and planning. From a team standpoint, it really takes a large concerted effort to pull off a project like this. And so certainly Royal Oaks is at the head of the list, followed by Perkins Eastman as the architect of record from a planning, architecture, and interior standpoint. Gratitude to our local architectural firm, our associate architect, which is the Architectural Resource Group, ART, Sund Construction, Westwood Civil Engineering, Co Von Loo consultants from a landscape architectural standpoint, PK Associates, structural engineers, IMEG, which is mechanical, electrical, plumbing, Fire Protection and Technology, Devella Studios, which is our culinary consultant, and Greystone, which is assisting on marketing consulting and development management consulting. Just a little brief background on Perkins Eastman. We've been practicing in the senior living practice area for the last almost 30 years. We've written several books on it. We've won several awards. We have 20 dedicated principals, you know, and these numbers speak for themselves in terms of our involvement on a national and international basis. Our leadership team on this project, our core team consists of myself as principal in charge and lead designer, Jen McDermott, which is our project manager and senior interior designer, Dev Pawar, which is with Architectural Resource Group, our local architects, and he's the local technical resource. Dennis Ryan with Perkins Eastman, who's our project coordinator and senior project architect. Daniel Wu is one of our senior project architects working on the project at Perkins Eastman, and then Erica, who's with ART, and she's going to be basically reviewing an overview of the construction process moving forward. So Inspirata Pointe from a phasing standpoint and Royal Oaks. So Inspirata Pointe is on the far left. It's phase 1, starting this fall. And on the far right is phase 2, starting very shortly thereafter, which is Eleganta Pointe, which is the expansion of assisted living, memory care, and the new therapy center, which will be a state-of-the-art therapy center with an aquatics program. And then eventually phase 3 will be some repositionings of Royal Oaks over the next many years moving forward. So what was important as we looked at this from a holistic standpoint is how do these two bookends start to address what happens long-term in the future so that there is a comprehensive design. And we've done several conceptual sketches of what that might become in the next 10 years. But knowing that the main entrance is going to still be at the top of the page, coming in from the main entrance as it currently exists. The other points of exit will be at the far end of Inspirata Pointe, that's only to exit out, and then there'll be several other entries and exit points at the south portion of the site. Looking at the site plan of Inspirata Pointe itself is really, again, blending the best of residential and hospitality design moving forward. The key at the top talks a little bit about the villa homes in terms of where they're located, the residences themselves, which are the rectangular buildings throughout the site located here. The club center in the core of the community. Internal walkways that link, courtyards and outdoor spaces that have been created, all in the idea that we really focused on creating spaces that were internally focused of promenades, intimate pathways, covered breezeways as the paragraph notes, lush gardens. They all can be discovered through the grounds on that concept of exploration that we were talking about. You get views and glimpses in at different parts of walking around the community and different experiences throughout the year as shade and shadow plays on the spaces and so on and so forth. What's important though is that we positioned, it wasn't just arbitrary in terms of how these buildings are positioned. They were positioned to take advantage of where the sun was, providing shade and shadow. We looked at prevailing winds in terms of how they'll come through and help cool off the space in the summer. Large overhangs at different levels to allow shade for the spaces that are outdoors, as well as planes that do not connect so that air flows in between to allow that circulation of natural airflow. The water features are certainly decorative, but also are passive cooling. And the large shade trees that are incorporated in the promenade and grand court also help from a passive cooling standpoint to promote the use of those spaces throughout the whole year. And then as it cools off, we have a variety of features brought in from the grand fireplace at the terminus of some of the breezeways and walkways and heat lamps and things like that that'll help control the cooler weather that happens in the winter. So when we look at the overall community, the important thing to note here is that the majority of Sun City is a max of 3 stories. We went in and proposed 4 stories because we were building up from 2, 3, and 4. So our 4-story building is one of the taller buildings within Sun City, with the exception of the hospital in the far distance of the site. Those are really the 2 tallest buildings right now that have been approved. And the reason why this was approved again is that we built up from the single-story homes, if you could see my arrow, from across Royal Oaks Road up to the 2-story villas, up to the 3-story residences, and then up to the 4-story. So it not only allowed us to create the density that was desired, but also then to allow for views over the roof lines of the different buildings. So when you're in the 3rd floor of this building right here, you start to see over the villas and the buildings that will be adjacent. And certainly on the 4th floor of this kind of shaped building in the background, you'll be seeing north, south, east, and west over pretty much everything around the community. The reason why we selected a detached, it's certainly connected via breezeways and covered walkways to protect from sun, but a detached club center at this end of the community is really to focus on making one of the vision and goals is to create a community for all, not just for one portion of this development. So by pushing it to one end and connecting pathways and various walking paths and vehicular circulation and golf cart circulation, and allowing it to be detached as a neutral turf area, it belongs to the greater community as opposed to just Inspirata Pointe. And that goes to say with the existing Royal Oaks Community Center, it's detached as well for the most part in a lot of areas, and it is for the benefit of all of Royal Oaks moving forward. So the amenities and programs that are part of Royal Oaks are enhanced with what we're offering here at the Club Center. And so this is a view of the entry to the Club Center. And I think what's important here to note is that as you walk around Inspirata Pointe, and it connects again to all the walking paths around Royal Oaks, and if you've ever visited in the early mornings of the summer or throughout the year, you'll see residents, part of a walking club, just walking around the area. And what is unique about Inspirata Pointe is because we looked and studied at the various hospitality and different types of active adult components within the industry, we broke apart the massing. So the scales of the buildings are more intimate. The corridor lengths are shorter to the elevator cores. And you get these glimpses as you walk by of what might be happening in the courtyards beyond. Some you can connect through with walking paths. Others are just visual connections. And again, throughout the day with the play of shade and shadow and landscape that changes throughout the course of the year in terms of flowering, non-flowering, and so on and so forth, you get very different experiences that happen along the way as you engage in these different promenades and walking paths and grand court and things of that nature. From an architectural standpoint, we looked at a classic modern architecture so that it's timeless. We looked at, we're utilizing expansive overhangs, large windows. That allows the interiors and exterior to blur together and create a seamless connection to the landscape. We're looking at local materials in terms of real stucco, limestone, wood accents, bronze metals, and tinted glass that really provide a richness and contrast as you look at the building throughout the course of the day. So this is what the Club Center will look like, and you can see it's here on the little key map down here identifies where that is. And within this space, again, we have a variety of different components. The 3 restaurant venues, we have the mail center and information area, we have a waiting area for pickups, for people being picked up and dropped off, a classroom, and a variety of other amenities that I'll go through in a moment. So this is a site plan of the Club Center. The drop-off is what we were reviewing at the top of the page. We come in through a covered entry into a grand living space or waiting area that really allows for bus pickups for special events. There's storage areas here for Migo carts and walkers and things like that, public restrooms, an office for concierge services, and then a mail center, copy center, and package center. On the other end of this is a classroom that has a nano wall or glass wall that opens up and allows the classroom to spill out into a courtyard that allows for programs and activities that are happening in the classroom to connect to the outdoors. Now, as you walk through the space of A, coming into the club center, you exit into the outdoors again, and it's a covered breezeway with a variety of different seating areas. And what's at the corner in the crossroads is Copper Sky, which is the bar bistro area with its glass wall that can open up as well. And an axis going all the way down past a variety of different seating areas and outdoor dining is on axis a outdoor fireplace that's see-through to the inside of a restaurant. As you walk past it, you walk past the grand court that's covered with the water feature in the center, large mature shade trees that'll be dropped in via crane in these spaces as construction occurs to provide that passive cooling. And this space is designed for instance, if in the morning you want to have a cup of coffee, you grab a coffee and you have your iPad and you sit outside and enjoy the outdoors. You could use it for lunch or dinner, meeting up with friends, hanging out and watching people go by passively, or there'll be specialized events that happen in this space for large gatherings of outdoor entertainment and specialized outdoor banquets and venues and things like that. What you see here articulated in N is the connection that passes not only the elevated dining experience entitled Azul and past the Lemon Grove as the entry court into that space with water feature and outdoor seating. It connects then and eventually connects through and past the existing casitas or garden homes, and then eventually connects via this walking path to the original Royal Oaks Town Center. Additionally, in this space, we have then, as I mentioned, the Copper Sky Bar. We have the Indigo Kitchen restaurant that has 3 different seating areas to it in this location here, if you could see my arrow. And then a view into the kitchen where there's an interactive open kitchen to see how food is being prepared. The back of house kitchen. Here's Azul connected there, and we'll show some additional pictures of this. And then there's an employee center for the employees of Inspirata Pointe connected to this. Now this all sits on top of the parking garage underground and a variety of service and garbage and delivery and all kinds of other components that happen underground. And this is an important feature because it's like a Walt Disney World effect, I call it, where you don't see all that stuff coming and going, but it's all happening underground. And eventually this will connect throughout a tunnel system to the rest of Royal Oak so that product is coming and going, goods and services, trash, housekeeping, supplies, and it's never disrupting the resident. So a truly residential hospitality experience is happening at grade and at all floors because you're not being disrupted as a resident of Inspirata Pointe with the comings and goings of all that stuff. It's all underground. Now this is Copper Sky. Jen, I don't know if you want to chime in a little bit about Copper Sky.
I mean, I think I'll explain the thought behind the design on Friday and some of the materiality, but just in general, this is really an all-day dining experience. It's connected to that sort of, it's placed on the corner of this Commons building adjacent to the lobby and the mailroom. So it's a great venue to grab your mail and grab a cup of coffee or a pastry in the morning. Those windows open up, as Joe mentioned before, to really sort of open up onto the terrace with some additional outdoor seating. And it's also just going to be a great venue for pre-dinner drinks and, waiting for potentially a reservation in the other dining venues.
And in each one of these, we're developing an experience that's unique and different. So that when you come to Copper Sky, it's different, it's invigorating, it's exciting, depending upon the day, the hour of the day, the week, or throughout the month. And so when working with the culinary team at Royal Oaks in terms of the programming of the menu, weaving that into the story of the restaurant, which Jen will talk a little bit more on Friday, and the architecture creates an experience that's truly unique and a story that's behind the environment. It's just not a dining room. It really has an experience base behind it. So whether you're there in the morning, as Jen mentioned, grabbing your coffee, or there in the afternoon grabbing a gourmet burger and a beer watching the game, or in the evening listening to some entertainment and grabbing a signature drink that might include a copper mule or a copper SKYE martini, those experiences are there for you and will be customized to meet your expectations. The next is Azul, which is the elevated dining experience. Jen, do you want to just chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is really going to be a very special venue that's open in the evenings. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It'll have a specialized menu and even a little, what we're seeing here in this view is a chef's table with a wonderful view into the kitchen. So you have a whole kind of different experience if you're at this table. Obviously there's the wine feature in here as well, but a really nice curated view into the kitchen and will offer another sort of entertainment value to this space.
And why the view into the kitchen becomes important in restaurant venues today and moving forward is twofold. One, we participate as well as with our consultant with the Restaurant Association conferences and speaking engagements to understand trends that are impacting the restaurant industry now and in the future. And certainly we put the filter on what it means to create a restaurant for an older adult, older active adult. And the idea of seeing into the kitchen is one, from an entertainment standpoint, but two, during COVID and post-COVID, the trend is to be able to see in the kitchen to actually observe how the food is being prepared. Is it being prepared safe? Are they following safety protocols and so on and so forth? So the food doesn't just mysteriously appear. You could actually see how it's being prepared. Now in the elevated experience at Azul, it'll be a glass wall. And it'll be slightly tinted so it's not overly bright into the restaurant, but you could actually see the chefs grilling the steaks and the fish and preparing the salads and so on and so forth from the restaurant itself, as well as from the chef table that are flanked with the wine cabinets in it. And then again, from the next restaurant venue, it's a different opportunity to see. And then this is much more interactive. Jen, do you want to talk a little bit about Indigo Kitchen?
Yeah, and this is an all-day dining option, a more casual space. The menu will be there'll be a little bit more offered on this menu, but different from the existing restaurants that are already currently within Real Oak. So again, just offering another option, another choice. This restaurant's also divided into a few different areas. And so there's sort of 3 different spaces, which we'll see a little bit more of on Friday, that offer just a slightly different atmosphere. So you're still within the same Indigo Kitchen restaurant, but each time you can kind of move to a different space within that and get a different experience.
So if this part of the restaurant with the open kitchen might be, even though we have remote compressors for the kitchen equipment and sound deadening ceilings and floors and so on and so forth, if it is too loud, there is another venue immediately next to it that overlooks the gardens. And then as Jen said, she'll present on Friday, there's another room called the Fireside Lounge or Fireside Room that will have a fireplace in it and it can be used for private dining experience, club meetings and things of that nature throughout the course of the day and week. And so when we go back to the courtyard, again, the idea here is what you could see in the background is the entrance into both Copper SKYE and Indigo Kitchen off to the right. And this terminus of the walk is the fireplace that anchors the whole space, outdoor fireplace. And on the other side is the indoor fireplace, and you could actually see through it because it's glass. And so there's outdoor dining experiences to hang out at here at Indigo Kitchen, as well as at the bar Copper SKYE itself. And then there'll be a variety of other outdoor areas to just sit and visit as you'd like. This also can move from a more passive environment to a very active environment. It's designed to allow for speaker systems to be put into place for outdoor entertainment. special venues. If there's a big holiday celebration and part of the celebration is happening outside, they could set tables up outdoors to accommodate that. So it's a very flexible space. It's designed for art fairs. You know, you could set up around the perimeter displays of art, farmers' gardens, a whole variety of different active programming can happen in this space. So it's going to be really exciting. And the reason why it's covered is to allow for the residents, again, to connect in shade, and the few times that it rains, the opportunity to connect around the courtyard, and it connects to both of the residential buildings on each side. So you don't have to go really out into the sun. You're in a covered area connecting to each side of the residential buildings. And as you look at this part of the Indigo kitchen seating, you can see the fireplace and you can see through to the restaurant beyond. You can see how that covered walking path works and frames the courtyard. You can see how the big trees that'll be dropped in will create shade, the water feature that'll create passive cooling. But what's really interesting is that, again, going back to that exploration and discovery, we created these large garden walls that frame a view into the promenade beyond. And so, because this is more of a semi-public space, we'll call it, for residents and invited guests, once you get beyond the promenade, those walls, it becomes semi-private. It's residences that are looking onto it. It's more residential use throughout the course of the day. And it's much more contemplative in terms of its design feature. But it really helps set the concept of exploration, of getting these glimpses and views into different gardens and spaces as you explore and wander the grounds and gardens of Inspirata Pointe. And again, this is what the entry side that we had. This is the promenade. And some of the great features here, again, we're having large trees dropped in. First floor, I believe these are the San Luis units that flank this, and a CAREFREE unit as well on the one end. There's the terraces that they have that have extended gardens in front of them. And on the San Luis, they have the garden walls that frame those spaces in front of the unit. So you not only get your patio on the first floor, but almost your own private garden, and then the terraces above. And they look onto this that have, you know, when we're talking about biophilic design, creating shade and shadow, intimate spaces in a larger area to gather with tables and chairs, to pull into the water feature that's there, the raised planters. And also in this courtyard, we'll be looking at introducing the concept of a sculpture garden that'll evolve over the course of time. The pads are set and the design allows for the weight of the sculpture to go on, because this all sits on top of the parking garage below that becomes centrally located within the community. And you can see here how we're playing off the materials, the bronze accents, the glass, the stucco, the sunshades, and the types of lighting in the trees, both up lights and drop little pendants in the trees that create an intimate gathering in the evening, so it's not overly lit for the residences that look onto it. And then certainly we'll shut down when it gets later in the evening. So this kind of just shows a blow up of how the promenade connects to the Grand Court, and how then the Grand Court connects to the common buildings, some of the pocket parks that are associated around it, and what's really important, that connection to Royal Oaks in the top right corner here of the walkway that eventually connects that way. And you can see how those spaces start to build on each other and create those opportunities to see into different spaces, create different circulation paths, come out and connect to the walkways beyond to the north, to the gardens to the south, come back. You're back in the Grand Court. You can connect to the gardens and pocket gardens here in this location, and all the walks connect to the walking paths throughout the entire community. And you can see here then how these residences, whether it's on the first floor, second, third, or fourth, really captured the views into the promenade. And what's important about that promenade, it's a relatively large garden. It's over 75 feet wide by 170 feet long. So it's a meaningful outdoor space that will be delightful to view onto. And this is more of a blow up of it. You can see the water features, the little intimate gathering areas for seating, some seating areas here with sculpture opportunities, and then the walking paths that connect to the south, and then all the little private garden areas for the San Luis units. that are part of this first floor. And then this is the main garden wall that allows that view into then a controlled view into the more semi-public grand court, which you could see here. This is kind of looking, if you were at this unit down here on the terrace looking out, you see the grand wall, a glimpse in, and the walking paths. This view here is looking from the two units at the head of the promenade, looking down the court, past the water features, and to the wall beyond. So it's a very dynamic space that, again, throughout the course of the year will change with flowers and different types of blooming plants that attract butterflies and things of that nature. So it's going to be a really dynamic and fascinating garden. Then we've also designed into this 2 pocket parks. The first is more of an entertainment pocket park, which is located just south of Indigo Kitchen and the club center right here at the top of this site plan. And then there's residences on the first floor that flank it, as well as going up all 4 floors. And this garden consists of a variety of different little seating areas and lawn spaces that are designed for a variety of specific things. There is power in and speaker systems that would allow for outdoor movies. There's large lawns for picnicking if that was desired. There's tables that could be set up for grilling and things of that nature. So this area is again, an opportunity to be passive and as dynamic as the residents want it to be. The other garden, which is located just south of the promenade, is more of a fitness garden. And we call it that because not only does it have beautiful trees in it to provide shade, but it has larger lawns that are designed for outdoor Tai Chi or exercise class, croquet games, and there'll be a storage area for that, and then a bocce ball court that's built into this courtyard as well, with a variety of different seating areas and shade trees around it. Conveniently located to this is a variety of parking spaces for golf carts, both for visitors coming to want to utilize an outdoor Tai Chi class or the bocce ball court, as well as for residents to perhaps park their golf court outside, in addition to golf cart parking that's downstairs and within the villa unit itself. So these become a variety of different dynamic outdoor spaces also to view on from your residences, depending upon where you chose your residence. As we go into the unit design, what we start to see is some consistency, whether it's a villa or whether it's the residences of Inspirata Pointe. And the idea here, and I'm sorry I got cut off at the top of the page for some reason, is that upon entering the units, most of the units have this large expansive view to the outdoor terrace. And that outdoor terrace in almost all units is really a room. Even in the smallest terrace, it's bigger than most of the competitors in the area. In some instances, these terraces in the residences go up to 150 square feet, which is quite large. That is really an outdoor room. So that indoor-outdoor connectivity becomes important. And we learn that not only in studying biophilia, but also in studying the isolation that occurs in residences during a pandemic like we're in right now. Having a meaningful outdoor space becomes really important as a way to engage with neighbors and staff throughout a situation that we're in right now. So these rooms become an extension of your home. I'm going to walk through some of the unit plans and some of the features that we built into them. And one of my favorites for the size that it is at 1050 is the Carefree. It's a 1-bedroom den with 1.5 baths. What I love about it is it has a designated little entry foyer with a half bath off of it and a closet, but it has this kind of flex room den that allows it to be, a study. It could be a dining room. It could be a hobby room. 6 of these units on the ends have an additional window to them that off to the left-hand side here that, brings natural daylight into this den. But it really is this nice open floor plan that allows the kitchen to be on the outside wall. So you're getting natural daylight into the kitchen over the sink. And again, you get this large terrace in one of the smaller units that's 120 square feet. That's the size of a typical office in a typical workplace environment. Some of these units are conveniently located to the dog park and the entry drop-off, which is located, if I point my little arrow, there's an entry drop-off here, which we'll go over in a second, from a vehicular standpoint at the north buildings, and an entry sequence area to the south building centrally located where I'm putting the cursor right now. These units in particular have views not only some of the promenade, but of the pocket parks and other landscaped grounds surrounding the community. And what's interesting, the few that are located on the 4th floor, and I know the views don't really show it that well that were captured in the marketing collateral, but when you're up at a 4th floor, you really get views of the vistas beyond, because it is the tallest building in the region other than the hospital at this point. And it was allowed to be the tallest again because we built up to the center of the site to allow that to occur. And then as anything gets built around, it'll start stepping down away from that. So the 4th floor units are intended to have great views moving forward. The Jerome Terrace at 1208 is another great unit that I like because it's facing one of the pocket parks. You can see the 2 dots here where they're located on the 4-story building. And it's a lovely landscaped area that again will be as active or as passive as you, the residents, would love it to be. It has a large living dining space, a great room kind of concept connected to the kitchen, 2 large walk-in closets. It's centrally located in the building near all the elevators and storage and things of that nature. And again, the 4th floor units will have great views moving beyond the site as well. The Flagstaff at 1250 is a split 2-bedroom. And this at 1250 starts to create 2 bedroom suites, which is really great for some couples or a caregiver or guest that comes to stay. You have a bedroom with a bathroom and a bedroom with a bathroom, closet, storage, things of that nature. This one has a Jack and Jill bath that allows access from the 2nd bedroom as well as from the living spaces. It has a large terrace at 120 square feet. Practically 1/10 of the size of the unit itself, with great storage. It's near the elevator cores. It's near the car drop-off, golf parking, the building entry. The 1st floor units have patios that connect to the landscaping, and they're near the dog park. And again, the 4th floor units have this great expansive view beyond to the mountain ranges to the south. When we look at the KINGMAN, which is the 2-bedroom den, these are located in a variety of different areas. What's great here is that the den becomes this flexible space. It could be the study, an intimate little study. It could be a dining room that's connected to the kitchen just immediately off the entry, or it could become a hobby room. This has a large living dining space as well. And as you come in almost all units, you come in the front door. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you see, trying to get the cursor to work here, you see right out through to the outdoors and connect to the landscaped areas within the community. A variety of these connect to the pocket park. You see here, the different pocket parks, as well as then the views beyond to the south and the South Mountain Park District further beyond. And some of the units are very close to the dog parks that are located within the community. The Tucson Terrace at 1390 is a unique 2-bedroom, and each one kind of builds up in size, but this is the first one that really gets an entry foyer and then a designated laundry room. And what's nice about this unit at 1390, it is a corner unit, so it gets exposures 2 different ways. It too has a large terrace, a large great room concept. Here we introduce an island and a built-in desk area within the kitchen, an eat-in kitchen area, and then a living zone. And then again, that outdoor terrace. 2 bathrooms, one in the primary bedroom, and then one immediately outside the 2nd bedroom as the hall bath. But again, this laundry room is nice and large and can allow for additional storage and things of that nature. The, the San Luis at 1503 is the one I was talking about earlier that not only flanks the Esplanade, but it has views to the north and then to basically the northeast and northwest, because the site is slightly twisted in terms of its axial relationship. But what's great about this one is that it's a 2-bedroom, 2 full bath 2 walk-in closets, and again, it has a laundry room with a side-by-side washer and dryer. You enter into this really great restaurant or great room that allows for a lot of flexibility to meet your lifestyle. Whether you have, you know, a full dining table that you want to bring for entertaining, or set up a small little bistro table at the front window wall, an entertainment zone facing this way, or create another, you know, work zone in this area, or baby grand piano, bookcases, whatever you have. This space is very grand and allows for a variety of different configurations. It also has that opportunity to close this off. You can see a little bit of a dashed line here. And that allows us to be closed off as a full room that would become then a den that has access from the corridor, or you could have it via access from the living room itself with like 2 French doors. But the idea here is that this unit really allows the opportunity to be flexible and meet your lifestyle expectations. Again, it has a very nice terrace of 100 square feet. It's convenient to you know, the center of the community. Some of the dog parks, the entry drop-off, things of that nature. And again, a good percentage of these units look onto the promenade, that's 75 by 170 foot dimensioned primary garden, which is going to be incredible. The 3rd floor units facing northeast, these 2 over here, really have great views over the villas and then start to experience the vistas of the mountains in the distance. And last but not least is the Sierra Vista. And there's a couple different names, and I have, you know, there's a couple different configurations of them. Some of them have slightly different names, starting at around 1635 and going up. What's great about this unit is that we introduce 2.5 baths. It has a generous foyer, a designated laundry room with a closet in it, and a den, of course, that could be used not only as a den, but could be a formal dining option or a hobby room. It has the largest terrace of all the residences other than the villas at 150 square feet. They're located in a variety of different locations to be convenient to what's important to you, whether it's the dog park, the entry drop-off, the club center. And again, they're at the end and they have exposure, most of them, on 3 sides of the unit. So they're getting a variety of different natural daylight exposures coming into the spaces of both the bedrooms and living areas. And once you're on the 3rd floor and 4th floor, these units will have great views over the surrounding community. And just to talk a little bit about some of the components, and some of these arrows shifted on me. I don't know why. Let me take care of that here because it's important to be able to discuss this one thing accurately. When this got saved, it got compressed, so I apologize. Okay. I think we're close. What this diagram starts to show is where elevators are located. And it's important to note, as we designed this, we broke up the travel distances and the massings of the building to make it more residential scale and more intimate in scale from a pedestrian standpoint as you're experiencing it from either the promenade, one of the pocket courts, courtyards, or walking around the community. So you see the buildings being broken into several components with bridges that connect them. The elevators, there's 4 elevators located in the building. 3 storage areas near those elevators. These are a little further down. Sorry, again, this got moved on me here. So there's 4 elevators, 3 storage areas on each floor. There's 2 residential entries at the yellow with drop-off from a car standpoint and pickup, the main entry to the club center, and a variety of secured entry points that connect to the outdoors in the different areas of the club center or the independent living residences. So it allows that connection to these various gardens and programmed areas, no matter where you live within one of these buildings. And then lastly, just to talk a little bit about the villas. These are very unique at Royal Oaks, at Inspirata Pointe. And what's nice about them is that they're surrounded by very lush gardens, and they're only 2 stories in height, with 16 homes only, 8 in each one, ranging in size from 14 to 1850. Here, you know, that idea of embracing an active lifestyle is evident by the expansive outdoor terraces that they have, the spaces to bring friends in and family, the garages that have space for golf carts to connect not only internally within Royal Oaks, but also to the greater community. So these units are very special and have some great design features within the residences themselves. I'm not going into the detail of each single one today, but they are very exciting in terms of their layouts and the types of spaces and flexibility that's created within each one to allow for the reflection of your individual lifestyles. There's 2 end units and then 2 center units, but even the center units have multiple exposures of daylight coming in from the circulation side to the living spaces that project out to allow glass to appear on multiple sides. So you just don't have one side of connection to the outside. There's multiple ways to connect. And then these have direct access to the outdoors as opposed to an internal corridor, but certainly has a centralized elevator to allow residents to come up and down conveniently. And with that, open it up to questions.
Yeah, great. For anyone who has a question, if you could raise your hand, I will go ahead and get to you as fast as possible. We do have a hard stop coming up, so we won't be able to take too many questions right now.
We could go a little late.
Okay, that'll work. While we're waiting for some questions to come in, Joe, one of the things that I've been asked before is, what are kind of the top 3 things that were incorporated into Inspirata Pointe from a design factor that really benefits seniors? From your experience in being involved in senior living, some of the things that maybe people don't really realize are built into the project that really benefit a senior living.
Well, I think one of them is the travel distances to the various elevator cores, because those are the connections within the residences of the main building that allow wherever you're located to get down to convenient activities of daily living, whether it's going to the restaurant, getting your mail, going to partake in a pickup to a bus that'll take you somewhere else within the community, or to an outside event outside the community. I mean, looking at the travel distances and the way that it's integrated into the site becomes really important. And from a psychological standpoint as well, you're not looking down, if you go into a traditional senior living community that was designed 20 years ago, those long, relentless corridors that just go on forever. These are relatively short and, again, get you to a point of access that allow you to connect to a variety of different places within the community. I think the second thing is the residences themselves. We looked at the residences very carefully to allow aging in place to occur. And you'll notice, if I go back to a few of them, you know, the bathrooms are designed to allow for circulation as a person ages in place, to bring in mobility devices that are necessary. There's a variety of clearances that are built into these spaces, the showers that are being designed, the way the kitchens are laid out. These are all things that take into consideration the ability to allow for people to age in place within the residences as they're designed, which is another important feature in looking at from the resident itself to how the resident then connects to the greater community and then beyond. So those are 2 off the top of my head in terms of unique features that are designed for seniors within this community.
Nice. We do have a couple of questions. I've got Jerry Johnson. He was the first one to come up. Jerry, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. If you'll unmute your mic, you'll be able to ask your question. Are you there, Jerry?
Got it. Okay.
What's your question?
A question is the hospital side, that road or that whatever you got coming around to the back of that hospital, Boswell, I think it's Boswell. Is that going to be a block wall or is that just going to be landscaping to kind of hide that?
Are you talking this road right here?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay, yeah, so that is a wall, a block wall. That'll have a finish to it on the side of Inspirata Pointe, and then have dense landscaping along that wall. Because, you know, as Royal Oaks has grown, Royal Oaks has been able to acquire more and more of the lots to the south and have used it for a variety of different components, both for some of the garden homes that are created here, you know, a site for a future phase here, parking and other amenity spaces and so on and so forth. So right now that's a separation for what is on the other side. And the landscaping along that wall is going to protect the views on the second floor. Once you get to the third and fourth floors, you're overlooking those buildings and having the views and vistas beyond that. So yes, that is a full height garden wall. And I'd have to look and see if it's 6 feet or 8 feet, but it's one of those. And it's the perimeter. It's not only designed to protect views, but it also is for security, and it wraps around the site at this location and continues and engages with the wall that then goes around the rest of the community as it follows.
Great, thank you.
All right, I've got another question. This came in from Dolly Sokol. Dolly, I'm going to go ahead and unmute your mic. You were the next one to come up, so.
Hi.
Hello.
I think I heard you answer part of this, but I just wanted to make sure. In the residences as well as in the public areas, are the doorways and thresholds large enough for motorized scooters, motorized wheelchairs, that kind of thing?
Yes, they're all at, they are beyond the minimum required for ADA. They are 36-inch doors, and the doors into a lot of the public spaces are much larger, and them being mostly automated. So almost all the spaces that are public have automated doors where there's a hand swipe that allows the door to open automatically for those residents who are utilizing mobility devices. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, the units are designed to allow people to age in place. And you know, there's space, the foyers are large enough, they're all 5 feet minimum in width to allow for a parking of an Amigo cart if you had such a thing that you needed, with an opportunity to plug that in conveniently at that location. So those are some of the features that we thought about in the design of the spaces.
And what about the showers?
Yeah, the showers are a full size, I believe. Jen, if you're still on the line, I think they're 3 by 6.
Yes, they are.
So they're 3 feet, or no, 3 feet by 5 feet. I'm sorry, 3 feet by 5 feet. So
36 by 60 inches.
yeah, and they are, you know, a full size shower with a low threshold to them.
And the seats in there are, you bring your own, or is it built in?
Currently, it's you bring your own, but we are just starting to look at optional upgrades moving forward. So stay tuned to some of those.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to go to our Inspirata Pointe conference room. I'm going to go ahead and open up the mic there. Carrie, can you hear in there? Need to unmute your mic. Well, might not be able to get her on yet, so let's move on. I'm going to go ahead and go down to Ed. You were the next one coming in. Ed, go ahead and ask your question. Unmute your mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, I had 2 questions. One was about the mail room. Will it be accessible when there are postal employees in there? We're a Trilogy, and sometimes, especially around holiday, 3, 4, 5 hours where you can't go into the mail room because postal employees are filing the mail, and it's not arranged in such fashion that they can do that without having to expel the residents.
That's a good question. We've started conversations with the Postal Service. Again, at Trilogy, because we've toured Trilogy as part of our research. There are many, 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 many more residences. And I know there's multiple zones for, I mean, there's a couple club centers. But for the number of residents here within the villa units have the mailbox area. This area is purely for the residences here, which help me out someone with the number of residences. It's 50.
What, about 150, 160?
That's total with the villas, right? So you have to subtract the villas. But anyway, it's designed to allow for that connection to occur with the male individual, the post person. There are no backfed in working with the post office. The front feder ones are desirable. There's a separate package pickup area. I mean, it's kind of hard to see this. I could try to blow it up for you here. But we've taken into consideration a variety of different components about it. So.
Okay, and I had another question. More and more there are electric vehicles in communities. And I know Tesla, for one, will provide to restaurants and hotels free so-called destination chargers. And I wonder if any consideration has been given to how you're going to accommodate people with electric vehicles.
We have thought about that, and yes, there'll be parking spaces down in the garage that will have connections to power for a variety of different motorized vehicles. Tesla has a different plug-in system than a couple other manufacturers, but our engineers have studied that and are providing plug-ins that allow for the different types of vehicles. So there are designated spots for that. I forget the percentage, but we do have several. And in addition, we have plugins for golf carts in the lower level parking garage as well.
All right.
So light here real quick because it's gotten dark here in Chicago. Bear with me one second.
All right, we are going to go into the conference room. Barry, you are unmuted. I think so. Might have to hit the button again.
Hello. Back.
Carrie, are you there? Go ahead and unmute again.
All right, can you hear us now?
We can. There you are.
Hey. Okay, Burl has a question.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question about the construction of the walls between the units in the apartment buildings.
Okay.
Sound, will you be able to contain most of the sound, or some of it going to carry over because as we age, we get harder to hear?
I am logging back into my other computer here. I have the whole statistics that we've written up for control. The building is designed to exceed the minimum requirements. So right now, all party walls, which are the walls between units, have an SDC rating of 50 to 55, which is again above standard. The corridor walls are 50 to 55. And then the floor transmission between, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2 and 3, 3 and 4 are 58 to 60. So SDC ratings.
Okay, we have another question. If you're
And
in
what we
building
looked at real quick from the studs between the units are staggered with insulation, bats of insulation in between with the little airspace. So that's what's going to help control the noise from bouncing in and out. Most multifamily housing developments have a single stud with insulation and drywall on each side. So we've taken extra precautions to try to control as much noise as possible.
Thank you.
Next question.
If you are in building E, there is no elevator in that building, correct?
Well, really, building E is part of, let me get to the overall.
Part of D, probably.
Bear with me here. So these two buildings here, and forgive me on the names because there's different naming devices as we as architects have than marketing, so I apologize. But the two buildings here are really one building. They're connected by these bridges. That's really, but it's separated.
E.
Understand? Yeah, it's right here. Right. Yep. So this building is really one building again. It's one building that cuts across, It just happens to be on the first floor. There's a passageway through for guests and residents to walk through into the gardens. But on the upper floors, they're all connected. And it's very similar if you've walked through, or if you haven't yet, if you're capable of walking through from a COVID standpoint, some of Royal Oaks, you'll see that that occurs already at Royal Oaks. You'll be in one of the buildings. Let me see the site plan here. You'll be at like this building here on the third floor of independent living residences, and you'll walk through a covered walkway that gets you to this core, and then there's another covered walkway that gets you to the other core. Connected, but
so my question is, the elevator for people who live in building E is building D. That's one question. Is that?
It's right here. Yep, it's right through the bridge.
Question number 2 is, where are the stair hallways, and where is the access to the underground parking if you are in building E?
And building E is this one that I'm circling right here, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so stair access to the ground floor. There's a stair at the end of building E, and then there's a stair once you cross the bridge into the C-shaped building here, which I would assume would be D. And the elevator access to the parking garage. The parking garage sits under this section right here. You can see the ramp coming in. So it's at this elevator core, and this elevator core that goes down to the garage. This one does not. This just goes to the ground floor.
So there is no, the underground parking is not under building E?
No, it's not. You come to this elevator right here to get to the underground parking.
Okay. I have many more, but I'll go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead with some other questions you have.
Go ahead, Monica. Give other people a chance.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not quite familiar with noise ratings. Can you please let me know if there's concrete between the floors and the ceilings? I understand it's only stud and drywall between the apartments.
The floors, it is a wood frame building, but it does have a concrete top to the floor.
Okay, and second question quickly. The windows, you mentioned tinted. Are they dual or triple pane windows?
Oh, that's a good question. And my cheat sheet here just shut down. Let me look that one up, and I'll get that one answered by the time the next question comes up. Give me 1 second. Windows, let me see what we have here for windows. I'll have to get back to you on the windows. I'm not finding it on my cheat sheet of statistics for the building right here, but they are meeting the energy requirements for, oh, here it is. Double pane, 1 inch thick, tinted low E insulated glass.
Perfect, thank you.
We're going to go ahead and switch off. I've got a couple of other people. One thing, if you do have more questions, just email your residency counselor and we will get those to Joe and Jen and give you the answers on those as we go. But I've got Pete Donnelly. You had your hand up. I'm going to go ahead and unmute your system. Just unmute your line and you'll be able to ask your question.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck.
Hey.
The question, I've got a couple of questions. First of all, on the underground parking, what kind of security is there going to be to keep unauthorized people from pulling in there?
I'd have to go back and look if there, I'll get that answered for you. I know that there's security cameras and things of that nature. Let me get that one answered, and we'll get that back to you within the next day.
Okay. Yeah, the other question I had is, we're moving from a big house into the Cottonwood, which is only just over 1,000 square feet. And so we've been trying to lay out furniture. Is there going to be available anytime soon an actual scale drawing of the floor plan so we can lay things out?
Yep, we're working on that right now with the marketing team. I can't give you an exact date yet, but we're coming up with the drawings with gridded plans that you'll be able to put a furniture to, so they will be to scale.
Yeah, and it will also have all the power locations and data locations and all of that located on there.
Yeah, that'll be good because we'll have some TVs to install and also, I guess the only other question is the closet in that apartment is probably somewhat smaller than what we've got now. Is there any room anywhere to expand the closet space in that unit?
We are currently, those questions are certainly part of as you start to look at the options of the apartments. I don't have an exact answer right now, but we are exploring customization options that will be available. That particular unit, I believe, I don't have the plan for that one because those were all sold out. Though that has the bathroom that kind of landlocks the closet. So if I remember that one correctly. And so expanding the closet would mean you'd have to move the bathrooms, which we can't do.
Sure.
But there might be a way to create other storage that we could discuss when you start to sit down with your sales counselor to look at selections of materials and things of that.
Yeah, I guess we could use somebody like California Closets or Classy Closets to come in and optimize the use of the space.
Correct.
Yeah, we are going to be offering some upgraded closet organization solutions as well to maximize storage.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, let's go to.
So we'll get back to you with the access to the underground and the seat in the shower right now. Those are the two that I'm researching right now. What else is there?
Charlie Clark, you've got your hand raised. Go ahead, unmute your line.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. The question was asked and somewhat answered as far as construction documents that you're going to be developing and allowing residents to have individual unit plans. Correct?
Correct. You'll be getting scalable unit plans with the grid on them to allow for you to start looking at furniture layouts and things of that nature. Certainly when I was presenting earlier in some of the units, we did some quick layouts based on just to show the scale of it, that you can get a king size bed in the master, the primary, and a full to queen in the second bedroom. But certainly you're going to be able to test that out and look at multiple ways to furnish those units on your own.
Joe, do you have a time frame on those plans?
Jen, do we have a timeline?
It's really, I think marketing has a timeline of about 4 weeks or so.
Okay, good. And another question, but it's good to have Perkins Eastman on the team. I've done 3 projects with you guys.
Oh, really? Great.
Yeah, we can talk offline, Joe and Jen.
Okay. Thanks.
That's it, Chuck. Thank you.
All right. That is all the time we've got right now. Like I said, if you've still got a question, please get a hold of your residency counselor and we will make sure we get those answered for you. Joe and Jen, thank you so much for being on here.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We're really, really excited to be part of this project. Like I said, Jen and I work around the country and we've worked together internationally on projects in China and in London, in Canada, as well as throughout the US, and a variety of projects, including Westminster Village in Scottsdale, Friendship Village in Tempe, trying to think of all of them right now, Beatitudes and so on and so forth. And I think what's being created here, in my opinion, based on the opportunities that we've had to work around the country and the world, is something that's going to be really unique and special. And we're really proud to be part of the Royal Oaks team in their vision to really think out of the box of what is going to define options for housing for residents in the future that address older adult needs. And I think this project is going to be spectacular when it's finished, and hopefully you all will think the same as well when you get a chance to move into your units. So thank you very much for allowing us to be part of this presentation and for Royal Oaks to allow us to be part of the team. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Tune in on Friday. We're going to hear from Jen. She's going to go through the color palettes and the thought process behind all of the really neat interior stuff and how it all came about. So thank you, everyone. And again, we will get answers to your questions as soon as you send them to us. and we'll go from there. Thank you very much. And
Thanks,
have a great-
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye. Have a good night.